Okay, we're going to be getting underway here very shortly, but before we do, I'm going to have to ask you all to do me a small favor. This is sold out tonight, as I'm sure you understand, so we can't have any empty seats in the room. So if you have an empty seat next to you, I'm going to ask you please to stand up and close in that seat, or raise your hand, so as people are coming in, they can come in and fill every seat. We're a great community, we want to make sure everyone gets their seats, so please make sure you either fill in the seats, or you put up your hands, so we can fill in every single seat in the theater. Are you good with that? Can you help me out with that? Okay, thank you so much.
To the future panel! Very important announcement that I just got, which is, at the end of the show, will you please exit to the right? Wait, that right or that right? To the right, that way. Stage right. Also, all of you backstage pass holders, what's going to happen at the end of this panel? You're going to stay seated, okay? We're going to clear the room, you're going to stay seated, and then we're going to give you the lowdown, all right? So I'll probably announce that again at the end, but just keep that in mind. Okay. My name is Aaron Sagers, happy to be here, happy to bring these guys out here. This is a heck of a cast. It's going to be a really fun hour and 15. And before I bring them out, you've all seen Back to the Future 1, right? Okay, but even though you saw it, we've got like a little bit of a reminder. So I'm going to throw to this reel just to freshen your memories. Picture if you will. There you go. We're shifting along to the future. Well, welcome to Orlando, guys. Welcome to MegaCon. We're certainly happy to have you here. And Mike, I noticed you dressed for the occasion. You are wearing a very Orlando, Florida shirt.
I'm Florida.
That's right. It's like Marty's bringing his tiki game to Orlando. I like it a lot. Actually, yeah, I mean, oddly enough, Orlando, Florida was home to the Back to the Future ride. And it is, unfortunately, that's too soon. It did, unfortunately, close down, I know. Guys, let's remember the memories we made, okay? But I mean, so Tom and Chris, I want you guys to kind of talk a little bit about that. That ride opened 6 years after, I believe the movie came out. Was it odd to revisit your characters for that ride? And it also, did it feel like the future itself, making a film for a theme park?
Did you enjoy doing the ride?
Not as much as you. I enjoyed the ride. I thought it was amazing. And it really felt like the future. You know, the way they set it up, you really felt you were on a trip. And it was scary. It felt so silly that a cartoon was scary, but you ride through this cartoon and all kinds of things happen. Do you remember that, Eva?
Well, I thought it was weird that you went through fire and like a dragon and all that. That wasn't in Back to the Future.
What was it, dinosaur, right?
Dinosaur. Oh, we went back in time.
There were dinosaurs in the past. They invented fire.
Yeah, but it wasn't a movie.
I consider the ride sort of a movie. My answer about the ride is, I'll try to make it not too convoluted, but here's the thing. The ride was way more advanced than any ride of its time because it was Douglas Trumbull, who did the photographic effects on 2001: A Space Odyssey, had a company that was doing special effects for movies. They asked him to oversee the Back to the Future ride. So this was, for you, many of you know what I'm talking about, some don't, but hey kids, the computers didn't do all of the special effects in the movies. These were photographic special effects, where for the Back to the Future ride, I found it fascinating, being sort of a film buff, that they had to build an entire hill valley in the future. Build all of the sets, all of the little buildings, and then run a camera across that set that was your experience of the ride. It wasn't just like cars or something making up in a computer. So I looked and I got to see the model. I went up to Massachusetts, I met Doug Trumbull, great guy. And such fascinating technological marvels to do with cameras, not computers. The entire city that they made, all of the walls, all of the street lights were all curved in such a way. They were all curved in exactly the same sort of curvature within a physical model. And I thought, I don't know what that's about. Why is everything curved? He said, we had to curve all of the lines in the actual model because the film is going to be projected onto a dome. So that when it's projected onto a dome, we've calculated the angles, the curvature of these curves, so that in the dome, all the lines will be straight.
I had a completely different take on it. The more kind of basic, like the message, and I loved it, and I went on 7 times. But it was a rocking chair in front of big screen TV. The rocking chair in front of big screen TV. I didn't go anywhere, folks. I tell you, I would go over there once when I was doing my pilot. And the show was breakfast run, and I would climb up in way up top, and I could see all the pods. I could see all the people in there. People there having there's 14 idiots to your left and your right. Doing the same thing for the same big screen TV, the same rocket center. And I thought, well, how cool, that's what it is. I mean, with all the great stuff Turnbull did and all the great breakthroughs you made. I mean, basically, like, movies are rocket trains for big screen TV. And buy into magic.
The ride, I really couldn't go on the ride because I get so motion sick. Oh my gosh. And so they invited me to one of the party for some Make-A-Wish Foundation children and that kind of thing. I said, I really can't do the ride, so I'd like to meet everyone. I get there, everyone's having a wonderful time, and somebody, of course, says, Tom, do you think you can go on the ride? And so much
Like it would really make little Timmy's day.
Exactly. All right, fine. So I go on the ride, and by the end of the ride, I am green. And I get off the ride, like, oh, thanks, was so nice. Yes, you're welcome. I'm okay. Somebody comes up and says, Tom, Johnny missed being on the ride. So I had to do it again. Trying not to throw up on a Make-A-Wish kid.
That probably was not his wish.
That was not his wish, I'm sure. It would have been better.
I went and took the ride at Universal in LA, Anaheim, and with a lady cat. We rode it up 4 times consecutively. And by the 4th ride, we got kind of playful with one another.
Go on.
Just saying. And so after we exited the car, they took us on a tour upstairs and discovered that there was a room or hallway with guys sitting there in front of their technical stuff. And we discovered that there's a camera. Each car that monitors, because in case somebody has an emergency of some sort. So we became kind of intimate with a lot of them.
It's a bootleg video, Mike.
Chris, was this before the internet? Otherwise, it's out there.
Move over, Kim Kardashian.
To be fair, when you're the owner of the DeLorean, a time machine, you can do whatever you want in there, I guess. Like, give it up for Doc Brown and his. Definitely the first time I've heard that anecdote. That's a choice one. James, I have to ask you.
I don't know why, but this ride
How do you mean it went right by you?
I don't even know about it.
It's gone now.
You had a wonderful time.
They even had one Japan, and they had that longer than 2015 when the ride was set. What's that? Slacker. Oh, yes. I was going to ask about Slacker, James. Slacker.
Slackers of the world unite.
Your delivery of Slacker, did you just hit it right away, or did you kind of practice different Slackers?
I didn't practice. You know, Robert Zemeckis said go, and I said slacker. That's it.
I mean, there's so many catchphrases and words and everything that have come out of this franchise that people will shout at you, I'm certain, walking down the street.
No,
this franchise not just was popular, that it's become part of the vernacular, that people were talking about it in catchphrases in the everyday life. I know there's the Ronald Reagan component, but when did you notice?
Yeah, I think it was the day after it opened.
I had people say, we call you average bug. It just was like the case I should stay. If I say Great Scott, I did a cameo on a film called See You Yesterday. Woo! On Netflix. Yeah! Really good film by this Stephen, first of all, I think. But it's really good. But when I played the science teacher who gives these kids they build a time machine by giving them feeling great when it's time to travel closer. And wasting their time on it. And it's well, but at the end of the scene, I can remember the scene and say, great job. People go nuts about it. I love you when you do that. You say great stuff. Get approval and carry on.
I think we're all still really amazed at how, look at all these people. It's so amazing. When you're in your home and someone says, 20 million people saw the movie or however million, it's an abstract number, but here, 35 years later, all of you here, a good portion of you weren't even born when the movie was made. It's such an amazing thing, and I think it's kind of been like a wave, like waves of fans that keep coming in different generations, and it's spectacular, but I don't think we expected this. When it came out. There wasn't even a sequel deal. Like, they didn't think there would be a Back to the Future 2. So it felt like a phenomenon because it was the #1 movie for almost the entire summer that it came out. But it didn't, we didn't think this was going to happen.
I was saying today when I was taking pictures, signing autographs, that why do I come here? And I thought, I come here because I want you to remember me. I come here because I want to remember you. And the money.
Well, with that said, I mean, is there obviously these movies are? It seems like they're on constantly on cable. Cable still exists, right? It's like they're constantly on random channels you flip by, and I find myself I stop and I watch, and there's certain scenes that I will stop and watch and really take in. For you, if you ever find it just flipping through the channels, is there a scene that you stop and are compelled to watch when you find it? No?
Well, I like movie. I mean, I'm always so interested in watching the movie, and there are scenes that tickle me more than others, but I don't know.
Never said that.
Favorite scene?
Not even a favorite scene, just like, you know, flipping through it like, yeah, I'll watch it for a few minutes. Okay, I'm move along.
It's impossible to do that. If you just watch it for a couple of minutes, you're hooked, and you just keep watching it. Leah told me recently that there's going to be a musical version of Back to the Future. They were all right on a sip of rum. See the slackers, and I want to go home.
When the third one is on, and I'm running into town on the horse in order for the big showdown in the middle of the town, the big gunfight. I watch it because I can't believe that I'm in a beautiful western like that. Like how beautiful it is, riding the horses over those hills, and I mean that thing. I mean I joke about it, but what guy doesn't want to go into a saloon and just push open the doors and do all that stuff and wear spurs and just call into the saloon. I told you, I'm amazed. It worked, it worked, and it's just a great movie. So I like watching. The interesting part of it is I try not to watch it anymore, and it's not a negative thing. It's just, but I know I will love it, but it will send me into sort of a reverie of thoughts and of introspection, of thinking about our relationships and my friends. And even when it's over, I won't get anything done for at least 2 hours because I'm just thinking about it and everything. So it's fascinating. But the movies. I mean, the movies are great. They're just great movies.
We were making the movie, so he was like, maybe somebody will watch this 2 times or 3 times or 480 times. And I want to make sure that there's a special little Easter egg hunt, something wonderful in every shot. And so when I watch the movie, I get to appreciate new things that he did directorially and that the DP did, but also the amazing work of my fellow actors. Maybe I didn't notice the first time because I was watching myself. Now I really get to appreciate as I mature as an artist,
Such beautiful shots.
Such beautiful shots.
When Chris smells the flowers that he's going to put down, for Mary's character, and he places the Clara thing on the little windowsill and walks away. It's just a beautiful moment in the movies. When the train is coming in and Mary's in that purple dress, a huge dress, and the train is coming back. It's just beautiful shots.
Those were the days.
Well, I mean, just following up with what Leah noted, like, who thinks that they've seen Back to the Future more than 50 times? Okay. More than 100 times. Wow. Do you think there's a 150 out there? 200?
You better skip up. This is America. 650. 1293.
I mean, good on you guys. I want whatever job you have. Pull that off. Just kind of stay with Back to Back to the Future Part 3 for a moment, I am curious. I don't know if I've heard you, Tom, talk about the mustache. Where did the mustache come from, and did you have input on like how big and bushy and unwieldy that thing was? Like, what's the story
I
about
had
it?
a lot of input on the mustache. Interesting question, Aaron. Thank you.
It's such a signature element.
The mustache. You know what? The mustache is actually in my house right now. People say, "Do you have cool stuff?" I go, "No, I do have a mustache." Because it was a fake mustache. Because we were doing them back to back and everything, so there wasn't a lot of time to grow beard. But especially in that time when I was young and full of life, I couldn't grow a macho beard mustache combination to save my life. So I'm trying to grow a beard, and I grow. Remember Bjorn Borg, the tennis player? That kind of weird. Like, why don't you shave that, man? It's just sad. It's just a little tiny mustache, a scraggly beard, and Bob Zemeckis looks at me and, yeah, I think we'll make a fake one. You know, because they had to make one of those big kind of things, big beard mustache thing. That's my crazy mustache.
It just seemed like the kind of
No, I'm still talking.
Okay. It was a good mustache, Tom. That's all I was saying.
Great job.
Thank you. What did you say? I think you're good at this.
Yes. Hey, you know, sometimes you try to come up with new material,
I'm
guys.
teasing you, buddy. It's good. Hey, I had to get a big bushy mustache because I couldn't grow one.
Yeah.
There we go.
I
I wrote a song about it.
The mustache a bit. Chris, did you have any input on your costume or anything for Back to the Future 3? Because I know, did you have input on your costume for Back to the Future 3?
Not a lot. They seem to have the stuff already kind of there.
Yeah.
On the rack. I wish I had a good story to tell about it. Trying it on, taking it off.
I feel like we're back in the ride.
No.
No.
I make one up, but it won't really satisfy me.
Lee, I think one of the favorite scenes of mine that you did throughout the entire 3 movies is in part 2 when we're in sort of the dark timeline and you're having your argument with Biff. Can you tell us a little bit about the approach to that? Because you've already at that point done different iterations of Lorraine, and now we have sort of this dark version of Lorraine. What was your approach to her?
This is a Back to the Future 2 when I was, Biff's wife, and I was the one who said, "You were the one who wanted me to have these things. Back, you can have them." And I love that character. I love Back to the Future too. And I loved it when I woke up and he was like, "Mom, you're so I love that character, and it's really funny because I'd like to play that character now, but no one will give me that part. I don't know why. And it was really fun playing that. And I remember, do you remember that shot, how hard that was, getting me down the stairs?
Oh, absolutely.
It took this huge crane, and they built this 2-story set on the lot, and it was beautifully constructed shot. And that was the thing about, we would just make these incredible shots, and we would all be like a choreographed ballet to get it all done. And I just love that character, and I love Back to the Future too. It's so weird and so dark, and that character, those characters. And then we had to do the old lady too. I had to do the 87-year-old, and it was funny because Bob Zemeckis was like, "Okay, so you gotta be drunk, but you can't be slow. You gotta be old, but you can't be slow. So can you be like one of those old ladies like, come on, Marty, let's go." Develop these kind of crazy characters that could be entertaining and quick. and funny and fast and loud.
If you would have done when I first started this movie, I had fringe of hair around either side, and the guy said to me, he says, you know, we'd like you to shave your hair, you'll get more pussy.
Thanks for sharing, Jim.
I feel like we're learning things on this panel tonight. I don't want credit for that. No slacker. Actually, yeah. I mean, I was just curious. Like, what are the the variations, different physicality that you brought to the different iterations of your characters? Like, you talked about Lorraine and how you were kind of moving, kind of skidding across in the future Lorraine. Tom, how did you approach the different physical aspects of the Biff and Griffs that we saw Buford?
I had the older Biff and the younger Biff for the first movie. So I went out and I watched old people, and I got physically and vocally to go lower with my voice and forward with my head and all that. In the sequels, it was a great challenge because I had Griff, a different family member, Mad Dog 10, a totally different person, but of the same family. So I had to go into different color highlighter pens and went to these index cards of which character I was doing. And since you only have your face and your body and your voice, you have to change them up in various ways. So the first Biff, young Biff, was like a rooster who moved his head a lot and had a high voice. Hey, McFly, I thought I told you never to come in here. Griff, I said, at what point do I use my chin, my under bicep? Griff had these jerky moves like, I had done a play years before where I did this with a character that just was jerky. So he said Griff was almost died when he was born, but he has electrical implants that aren't quite right. So my jaw was shot like this. McFly! And then Buford had the lowest voice, which was sort of like Lee Marvin in Men Who Shout Like Rebounds, which is really lazy in your face, and like a slouch. Hey, McFly. So it's really like, hey, McFly! Hey, McFly! Hey, McFly!
All the physical things the character did is, he taught me how funny it is when you really it.
I told Michael back then, he had his hands on his hips like this, which is a cool guy. All you have to do to be funny is lift it up about 8 inches.
They don't give me a microphone with a back. That was on the head. It's harder. Westwood.
Oh, were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, we all worked really hard
Yeah.
on the characters, like we did, and that's what Bob Zemeckis inspired us to, and that's what's so lovely about working with a script that begins as a great script, is that you can then elevate it. You can kind of only start with what the script is and elevate it. That we had such great characters and such permission to make these kind of large characters.
Everything was vague. There's nothing kind of wishy-washy. It was all, whatever beat was solidly in the beat was, not arch, but a style. Sort of style. If you're doing that style, it would stick out. Sort of,
Well, you had such a busy couple of years right around that, between Family Ties, Teen Wolf, Back to the Future, First off, did you sleep at all during that couple of year stretch? No, and And were you able to appreciate it, or did it take a little bit of time before you're like, okay, that was a hell of a satisfying creative adventure?
It was really a strange thing because it happened so quickly, and I had to kind of celebrity from the show, and that was nice. I like that more than I ever thought I'd have. I've never expected this one to come to the States to be an actor when I was 18, and so I got a regular gig, and I was really happy. And then this movie hit, and it was something like just nuts. It was crazy. I mean, it was I didn't know how to process it because we shot the show at the same time, and I was completely confused. And I literally this happened. I went on to the set of Family Ties, and I had a scene to do in the kitchen with my dad. And I was waiting on stage, and then I couldn't, about to call the cue, and I couldn't find my video recorder. And I was freaking out, I couldn't find my video recorder. And I thought, I don't need a video recorder. It's the other show. And I remember thinking, like, this is seriously, this is psychotic break. I'm going to damage myself. And so when the movie came out, I think it was good, and I knew like, when I worked with the actors, I knew they were the best I'd ever worked with, and just blew me away and made me do things I hadn't done before, and try new things, and it was special in that way, but I didn't know anyone to give a damn. And then I was in England doing Family Ties Goes to London. If you've seen that, you're a fan. And I remember in London shooting this crappy TV movie. I'll be with my family who I love, but with Family Ties people, but it was just awful. We knew it was awful. And I get calls from the States going, you're in the biggest movie in the world. And I said, no. He said, you don't know, this movie's going to be huge. I said, I'm sorry, I'll do better next time. I even said to my agent, I'll do better next time. I don't think I'd done anything worthwhile. And then I came back in. I remember driving by the Cinerama Dome in Los Angeles on Sunset Boulevard, and there was lines around the dome. And I just, wow, I had walks on the patio. And we just did an amazing experience, and I'm really grateful for it.
2 weeks after the movie came out, 2 weeks after the first movie came out, Crispin Glover and I were hanging out, and we were just hanging out. We went to.
Bring the main.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking, Crispin does that, especially on Bernie's answers, main part last. And I used to do that on other people.
Crispin, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were hanging out. We'd done this movie together, and we went to Cantor's, deli in LA. It's 2 weeks after the first movie, and we just go in. And the place stops like a movie, like soup spoons dropped to the table. People are just staring at us, and the place is silent. And we're like, well, this is weird. What is that? So they say, well, come right here, guys, sit down. And we just sit in a booth, and people don't pick up the spoons. They're just like staring at us. Everyone's talking. And we're really looking at each other like, what is going on? Is this a Twilight song? What is this? And Crispin just said, oh, maybe they saw the movie. But, so it didn't occur to us. And then, oh yeah, we're the #1 movie in the country. It's weird. Just drinking soup. But everyone had seen the movie, and by that point, 2 weeks out, it was just like the tsunami just growing.
Well, and I think on that note, it's worth giving a shout out to Crispin Glover, who is such an amazing.
At my audition, I wasn't a big movie actor or anything. I've done TV shows and commercials and theater, that kind of stuff. But I auditioned first with Crispin. And I said, in our audition material, we go outside, we were working on it, and say, hey, McFly, did you bring me, did you get my homework done? well, and he does this scene, and I just thought, if they don't cast this guy, they're crazy. This is unbelievable. Wow. So yeah, he's just absolutely fantastic. If you look at all that stuff, which sometimes on the set seems crazy, I mean, what's he doing? It's absolute genius.
I think little story. I was shooting Teen Wolf, and I was on a street in Pasadena, and I was my trailer, and I was trying to my blood suit was straw because I had yak hair glued on my face. Airplane glue, and I had this rubber snout, and I was getting hot, and I'm in Pasadena, and the trailer, and a werewolf, and I said, what have I done? I screwed this up. How did I end up in a werewolf movie? And then I heard so the scouting directors from Steven Spielberg's Company Angling, they were on the same street we were on, scouting locations for a new movie they were going to come back in the future. And I heard, and I said, who's in it? I said, Chris McGlover's got a part in it. And I knew Chris from Family Ties. He'd done a few episodes of Family Ties. I thought, yeah, I'm not a competitive guy. I wish I were the best, and I love Chris, but he's talented. But I thought, son of a bitch, how do you do that? That's what that is. And then working with Crispin is like Crispin would have like he would do the thing where he during the scene at the end of the scene he'd go to grab a broom. When I came over trying to get him to go to the dance, he was saying no, and he had a broom, and he was sweeping his broom, and Bob said, "Who's the on the broom?" And he said, "Oh, it's my sweep of indignation." He's locked this shit into a science. He's locked it into he really is a genius. And he just sees things differently. And there's a different rhythm to when he acts and when he thinks. And I mean, don't be afraid of it. Celebrate it. It's really brilliant.
In preparation for the final scene in Back to the Future where we're like, I've got the tennis racket and he's slapping me on the butt. He asked me to come over to his all-black apartment to research the scene, to try to, and he was having a lot of trouble with that scene. He didn't like it. He thought it was too, I don't know, the representation was too like, that money equals happiness or something. So he decided we could work out the characters by painting a volcano together. Somehow it led to good characters. He was such a genius. Later, my mom painted over the volcano. I know, it's a good painting my mother did, but I did cherish that volcano for a year or two.
What do you think was the appeal between Lorraine and George? What made that relationship work?
Well, what was interesting about that part of the movie was that we had to sell, like Michael and I had to sell that moment in the car, where I was just like, and he was like mortified.
I was well aware that she was not my mother.
But we had to sell these big plot twists with just slight acting shifts and so, Crispin's so beautiful, like the way he falls in love with me, so instantly, and how we had to really, usually they don't give actors those intense plot twists and just acting, and he was so genuine, and so, when he said, Lorraine, you're my density, it was so beautiful, and he was so vulnerable. It was really special. I don't know, it was an interesting, it's such an interesting movie on so many levels.
And when after he punches me and I'm unconscious, but that absolute joy at what he's done, this victory, but then that realization that he has to help you now. And when he lifts you up and you're looking at him, man, oh man, bing, jackpot.
What's like your favorite terrifying moment for him? Like after, like now having to engage with Lorraine.
Are you okay?
the idea that if you have courage at the most important moment of your life, you can change everything. Not only for yourself, but for your parents. You know, and actually happens in life, you know. So we hope to have inspired some courage.
I thought the movie was about push people around to get your own casino.
One moral of the story. Chris, I mean, you also you did this time travel movie, this genre movie, and then you also did Star Trek: The Search for Spock right after this. For you, what was this appeal getting into this genre science fiction world for you?
I didn't have much to do about it. People called me and said, "Would you like to do this?" And being an actor, I said yes.
Sure like the clothes, Aaron.
Yes.
Sure like the clothes.
Yeah, but it's coincidence, but I love doing both of them. I guess they exist in an unreal world. I mean, going around trying to figure out how to travel through space and time. What a goal, you know what I mean? And I'm running out of wind.
Well, I ask because obviously we live in this era where science fiction and superheroes it's not only mainstream, it's dominating the landscape. And I was curious if you had any thoughts on why, in your opinion, like why do these movies seem to go out there and make $1 billion? Why, is this where we're investing our imaginations and our dollars? And I'm curious if anyone wants to weigh in on that, because Back to the Future was such an important part, is such an important part of that.
Good morning. Sorry. Yeah. You? I really want to hear what you were saying.
All I was going to say is that traveling into the future, into the past, I mean, it's like a very human fantasy. You all imagine, gee, I wish I could be here when this or that happens, or I wish I could go back to when that happened, or whatever. So it's ingrained in our, we have imaginations, and the Back to the Future somehow took that concept to the hill. It just went full blast with it, and it worked. So well written and put together. There was a family. You're a kid. I'm kind of a uncle type guy, and we have this relationship. There's you being multiple selves, and I'm done.
That was good though. I appreciate it. Mike, what were you going to say?
It was great. I was just saying, people that I was looking for escape, like they don't want to just escape, they want to find meaning in it and realize that, believe that things are happening at different levels. And anytime we can come to another level, and we can be a whole new world. We have the same name and the same family, and the same issue, the same job, but a different dynamic is happening. Whether it's like time travel, the idea that what we've lived before is still happening right now, and we can go back to it. Or what's going to happen is predetermined, we can go ahead to it, or we can steal with our hands, or we can fly, or we can build a suit and become a rocket man, and we can. I mean, it's just really powerful stuff, and the more difficult the world gets, the more it's really cool to be a guy who can shoot webs out of your hands and do the right thing, and with that stuff that you use for good instead of evil. And it's just big ideas, because it's really just a lifetime. And it's really right. I heard stuff.
Yeah, he's got some stuff.
What did you
Stuff, buddy?
Wait, so, okay, Jake, so you and Chris had worked together before Back to the Future. You guys worked on Macbeth in 1974 with Peter Weller. So we had Doc Brown and Strickland and RoboCop.
That's right, we did, in the Lincoln Center, and it was Chris Washington, and those were good old days.
Chris, do you remember did you guys remember like knowing one another when you came on back?
Vividly. I mean, it was a production that created a lot of stories because there was a certain peculiarity about it. Christopher Walken, by the way, was dead. Cal Kane, I don't know, she was good. But it just, well, there was a reviewer in New York at the time who nobody liked very much. He really would say gratuitously nasty things about performers and writers if he didn't like them, but it was a bit over the top. And he didn't see the play. Or yeah, I guess he did see the play, but he wasn't reviewing it. But he, in an article he wrote somewhere, he referred to it as that swinish production of Macbeth. Why did I go over there? Why did I bring that up?
Still Chris.
Is it John Simon?
It was Johnson.
That's why you brought it up.
It was that trick.
I was just wondering if you guys remembered one another. I wasn't thinking we were going to start calling out critics. James, do you have anything to add to that? That's pretty great. Well, did you guys remember each other when you came on Back to the Future? Like, do you remember? Did you see one another and be like, oh yeah, like we worked together at that time?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, after all, I mean, you have that kind of experience working with the actor that you like. You see him again, you're happy to see him, and here we are. That was in New York, now we're in Hollywood. Hey, we're living.
By the way, I just feel, I gotta say that it was a lot of fun doing that production, and I feel I had a lot of value.
Swinish though it was.
Well, you got the last laugh on the critic, so there you go.
Doing better than John Simon.
John Simon? Huh? Yeah.
So Tom.
Really?
So Tom, you recently appeared on a little show called Legends of Tomorrow.
Very true.
Great show, and also has a time travel element to it. So I'm curious, when you come onto a show like that, and everybody is established actors, but then you're coming on the scene, and they have a lot of respect for you. Talk a little bit about that experience. Where is it hard to like slip into this new character and get the job done when they just want to geek out over Back to the Future?
It's sort of, when I'm working like that, like in anything,
Yeah.
I must say I'm a light-hearted person, but I'm very serious about the work. So, I know the words, and I know what I'm going to try to do, and I really want to know what the director is looking for in the scene, what I can give the other actors. So, there's a lot of work to be done, and I want to concentrate on the work. But I do understand that everyone has at least 5 Back to the Future questions. everyone is trying to not say anything right in front. They're not trying to make that the first gush that comes out. They're trying to say, oh, did you have some of this melon? It's very good. I haven't had any melon. Look, I love Back to the Future. I cannot say it. I understand. I understand. I understand. So especially young actors, but a lot of people, we have to have that moment where, sort of for a moment, I'm Paul McCartney and they're Chris Farley. And they're just going up, you know that scene where he beat up a fly? Yes, I was in that scene. Yeah, that was a great scene. We have to do that. So literally with other actors and many of the work that I've done, the kids on Freaks and Geeks, all of them knew that I was saying, they say, we want to ask you questions. I'd say, okay, I will give each of you 2 Back to the Future questions. If I find them interesting, you get 2 more. If I've heard it before a million times or I find it boring, you're out of the game. So it was kind of fun because there actually were trying to think of interesting questions. But of course it's not.
Yeah.
If I meet people from something, I have to say that they were great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a wonderful thing. I understand it. When I meet actors, I've done exactly the same thing and said, you know, I can't not say it. It was just so strong. I do a lot of SpongeBob SquarePants episodes. Tom Kenny is a wonderful friend of mine who plays SpongeBob. He's just tremendous. But we've known each other since stand-up comedy from decades ago. And I know his wife, Jill, and they're wonderful people. So he comes up, Jill, and he says, Tom, can I talk to you about something? And I know you're not going to like it, but can I just say something? Oh, yeah, Tom, what is it? The kids wanted to watch Back to the Future, and we watched all 3, and you're just great in it. I mean, it's just great. I know, Tom, I know, it's okay to say, yeah, but I mean, it's great. I'm sorry, I know you hear, but all of us are in the same boat, you know, and all of us. And when I'm on a set with somebody, or when I just see them in Los Angeles, or when a party, I'm doing the same thing, and I'm doing it. It's not geeked out.
Who would you geek out over? Like, who is someone that you would totally legitimately lose your crap over?
Well, many musicians I do, but it was a wonderful thing. This is weird, but I'm pretty new to coming out to cons. You know, I'm pretty new to this. I haven't done it a lot, so I'm pretty new to the world. But I came to this one, and across the way in the green room sitting is Adam West. Batman. I mean, the Batman. And I just say, don't go over there, Tom. Don't go over there. Don't bother the man. He's having lunch. Maybe you'll run across him somewhere. Anyway, he gets up. He had a scooter at the time. The man was about 90. And he scoots over, but he's scooting in my direction. I think he's scooting right next to me. Batman's scooting right next to me. What am I going to do? Be cool. Don't gosh. Be cool. And he comes right up to me, and hello, Mr. West. My name is. I know who you are. You're Batman, but I know who you are. You're Tom Wilson. I'm a big fan of yours. And I shake his hand, and I almost start to cry. Because Batman knew who I was.
Anyone else want to weigh in on like that moment they met someone that you geeked out over, where it was your fan moment, much like all of us have had with you?
Well, 2 stories. Both are athletes. One was Muhammad Ali, when I get to Muhammad. And the thing about Muhammad is, he's really invisible. Then I quote the visibility, stand beside Muhammad. Nobody sees you. You see Muhammad, and he was just an amazing guy. The other story, I've heard you tell that story before, and it's almost identical story. A little different twist at the end. But Bobby Orr, I was playing a celebrity hockey game, and Bobby Orr was class ass. And we were in this dressing room. It was a celebrity old-timers game. It was the last game played at the Boston Garden, and he was going to play. And I was in the dressing room with George Wendt, who was serious. He was our goalie. And we were talking, and he said, "Oh, there's Bobby Orr." Bobby Orr was across the dressing room. He said, "Bobby Orr." I said, "Shit, wow, there's Bobby Orr." And then he started to come over. And George started to leave us. "What are you doing?" I said, "I can't. I'm too much to do." And Bobby Orr, so Bobby Orr sits next to me, and very similar. He's just chatting me up and tired, and he's putting on skates, and I'm listening to him. I don't know what he's saying. I can't process any of the words. It's like, Bobby Orr. And so we go play the game, and at the end of the first period, I dig the puck. I either on the blue line. I dig the puck out of the corner. I skate away. So I put the puck between his legs. I break it right around and score. And I went to the bench and poured water on myself and went, I can't believe that. And then I figured what he said to me. He said, at the end of the first period, I'm going to take the puck, put it in my leg.
I don't know if you can top it, but you guys, Leah, do you have anything to weigh in on that? No?
No, I mean, except for Meryl Streep. Like, I met Meryl Streep at an Oscar party, and it was the most stupid I've ever been. It was so stupid. And she had no idea who I was. I kept expecting her to think, oh, she's another actress. No wonder she's being so crazy. But I think she's just used to all actresses, you know, because if you have trouble crying in acting class when you're a woman, the acting teacher just says, Meryl Streep. And then you go, oh, my man. So that's how I think all the girls cry.
Alright.
I had one other quick one. At Paramount Guy Commissary, I was directed in like Big City, and then we had to do this cocaine in the movie, and I know what you used for cocaine in the movie. So I like Al Pacino, who had just done
Scarface?
And I said, what did you use for cocaine, and what did you sniff in the movie? And he said, milk powder. So I said, okay, so when we did the movie, I said, Al Pacino, this is the last word, Al Pacino used milk powder. So we used milk powder, and I had water, milk running out my nose. And I came in later, and I said, what milk powder? I put milk powder in there, and it's in the milk, and he said, like, super? I mean, well, with Al Pacino, it's going back to future acting. Little kid now.
Well, we are running down on time, and I know, sad, but we're not done yet. You know, if this was the last interview about Back to the Future that you ever did, if you know, you close the book on this, and I'm sure you won't, but if you close the book on this, what would sort of be your final statements, your final thoughts about this movie, this franchise? Anything that you want to put out there? James, I'll start with you. Your ultimate thoughts on Back to the Future. I know, no pressure.
Look, I want to say quite simply, I would be very grateful to Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah. Tom?
It's a very, what is Facebook? It's complicated. I've been identified as this person, as this character, very, very profoundly, not only from the movie, but in my life and every day where I go. And there are, as you can imagine, assets to that and liabilities to that, especially with this character. But as I've said before, I think it has, first of all, it's opened an arena where I can talk to people about bullying, and I can talk to people who have been bullied. It's ultimately, it's a great irony in my life that I was bullied so much as a kid. I was a sick kid, and I was bullied a lot. And then I grew up, and in my young adulthood, I was identified as one of the most evil bullies in history indelibly for the rest of my life. That will affect you. So I've been able to reach out in that way, and try to help people who are bullied, who don't understand that I know where they're coming from. That was my experience. Secondly, to be a kid from Philadelphia who was in acting classes, who didn't think I was really talented in anything. I thought I was kind of a smart kid, and I was good at one of my feet when I talked. But I wasn't an athlete, and I wasn't, popular or anything. I like music. So to be able to start this thing, acting, and think, do I have a talent at something? Am I good at it? And have teachers start approving of that. I'm just saying, to go to New York and begin getting approval to be doing theater, and this process that led to Back to the Future, which says, it's like a Field of Dreams. The guy looks back, hey rookie, you were good. So I think I worked very, very hard at it, and I'm very proud of it because I think I did a good job.
Thank you. Chris, if this was your last word on Back to the Future, what would you say about it?
Something that has impressed me that I don't feel many films achieve is how many people have come up to me since this film was opened, including today, and said that they became an engineer, astrologist, whatever,
astrophysicist,
astrophysicist. Or doctors have come up and said, growing up watching this film affected me this way or that way, and I became this or that. I think that's extraordinary. I've done some other films or whatever, but I'm not aware of any film that has had that kind of an impact on people, a film that impressed people that way and made them want to do something creative and give it back,
Well, like Tom, I'm Michael. I'm a little girl from Minnesota, and I always had this desire to put good in the world, to create something good, to make the world a better place. And I think that this movie did that and still continues to do that. I think in an entertaining way, it still shows you about love, about friendship, about making the right decision, about grabbing your moment and holding on to it. And that's my greatest dream, to put good into the world. And, you guys are all so awesome, and to be here, and that's my last word. I'm grateful to have been part of something that makes the world a better place and gets to touch you, and you get to touch all of us in your reciprocity here. So that's my thing about Back to the Future, and I'm endlessly grateful.
We love you.
I was going to say, I love you guys. It's lovely you had to say, and I love you anyway. I've been with you for years. But I again, I came from Canada, and I was when I was at high school, I was to tell her there's a cautionary. But still don't do it. Don't do what I did. I drop out of high school and move to another country. I recommend it. It works. But I said like when I left Canada to be an actor and I wanted to be an actor, it was a very unusual thing in my neighborhood to want to be anything other than a union worker on that dock or get a job at the civil service job or something. So I went on this adventure and I viewed this adventure. And when I did Back to the Future, in the movie Back to the Future, what I love about Marty is Marty's just a reporter. He's just there to react to whatever he does and then behave in some way that communicates to the audience how they might feel. And I'm like kind of the audience's point in the movie. And there's all these amazing people. My job was easy. I mean, you've seen Crystal White. You just have to sit there. And he does it. It's magical. And so I went back in my life that I go on this adventures, I have to see things and learn about them and experience them. And then maybe I'll have a way to reflect on that to other people, and it'll have an effect. And it's been that way with my work and with my work in other areas. And it's just been all of a piece. I don't think I would be doing the stuff that I'm doing now with scientific research if I can have these other experiences in life and just with what this gives you, the opportunity this gives you to make a difference. Have impact on people's lives. So it's really a tremendous honor.
And I want you to make some noise for the cast of Back to the Future. This has been an amazing time. Again, if you're part of the backstage pass, stay seated as we clear the room. We will tell you what to do next. But please,